As we come together this evening to celebrate academic excellence, it is with great joy on behalf of the Tantasqua faculty, staff, and administration that I welcome friends, family members, and of course, our remarkable students. Students, I want to express my deep admiration for your personal commitment to excellence. You are here tonight because of your perseverance, your self-discipline to achieve outstanding work. Tonight you are being honored for consistently demonstrating excellence in your academic classes and for some of you in your technical programs. Hard work, dedication, and commitment have played a role in your success. Now with that success comes responsibility. We will look to you for your leadership. Society will look to you to make a difference in all of the challenges we face in the future. So tonight I want to challenge you to lead, to make a difference in every area of your life. Have you heard the quote, extraordinary people are ordinary people doing extraordinary things? I believe this is true. We are here to honor each of you because you have chosen to show up every day at Tantasqua and do great work. You have chosen not to be ordinary. You have chosen to lead. I hope you will continue on this path when you graduate, whether that's next year or a few years from now. And I'd like to end with a story. One day a traveler walking along the road came across 3 stone cutters working in a quarry. Each was busy cutting a block of stone. Interested to finding out what they were working on, he asked the first stone cutter, "What are you doing?" "I'm cutting a stone." Well, as though that was pretty obvious. Still, no wiser, the traveler turned to the second stone cutter and asked him, what was he doing? "I'm cutting this block of stone to make sure that it is square and its dimensions are uniform, so that it will fit exactly into the place in the wall." A bit closer to finding out what the stone cutters were working on, but still unclear, the traveler turned to the third stone cutter. He seemed to be the happiest of all 3, and he was asked, "What are you doing?" His reply, "I'm building a cathedral." The story illustrates a peak performer who has a clear vision and then sets out to achieve that vision. You are already on that path by being here tonight. You have chosen the vision of excellence. Because of each of you, our future is lit bright. I hope you enjoy this evening as we celebrate not just academic excellence, but the students gathered here. Have a lovely evening.
Not everybody knows this.
Thank you, Mr. Woods, for your words of encouragement. We'll begin dinner service at this point. We will send tables up. This is our service is buffet style out in the lobby. We'll send a few tables up after you go. Exit these doors. There are 3 serving stations. Feel free to go to the station that's open and enjoy our meal. Just to note that this has been prepared by our culinary and hospitality students and their teachers, so I hope you enjoy.
Okay, folks, we're going to continue with our event here. Hope you had a wonderful dinner. We asked the culinary students who worked so hard on this meal to come out so we can give them a round of applause and a thank you. Unbelievable. You guys are amazing. It was awesome. Kentucky Fried Chicken is in big trouble if you guys open your own business. That was outstanding. Great chicken. You guys are wonderful. We've been to a lot of quick thank yous here from our administration team at the table and Dr. Nozick, our wonderful superintendent. It's great to work in a place where the staff is all about what's best for kids and truly loves students. and wants them to have bright futures. We have our wonderful teachers and counselors here as your wait staff. Can we give them a hand real quick? Could we have the students who are here tonight stand up, please? Guys, stand up real quick. We could not be prouder of you. Let's give them a hand. Remain standing. While you're here, good job. Remain standing. Excellent, Simon says. We are now going to turn to our folks who came to dinner with us and say thank you, because it does not happen without their support. All right, have a seat. Have a seat. That was harder for some of us than it should be. But nice job. It's a great event, and every year Mr. D works very hard preparing this. Mr. D, we appreciate all your efforts. This has been going on for how many years now, Mr. D? 19 years. Give Mr. D a hand, please. And I can't figure out if it means so much to them or they still have no life, but we have retired teachers on our wait staff tonight. Rocky Thompson and Mr. Jefferson are both back. Give them a hand. All right, every year I do an Einstein quote at this banquet, so here we go. One of the greatest students of all time, Einstein, and you all have a little bit of Einstein in each of you. And a reporter asked Einstein a few years before he passed away, what is it about you? What makes you different? Why are you so exceptional? He said, I have no special talents at all. I am only passionately curious. That is the difference. Passionately curious about science and learning. Whatever he picked up, he was obsessed with it and wanted to learn more. You all have a little bit of that in you, and that is wonderful, and that's why we're here tonight. We have a faculty and a staff with a curriculum and high expectations for all of our students, and you have met those, and that is awesome. Let's give them one more hand. I am very honored to introduce one of our very valuable staff members. She is a wonderful English teacher, and we have some special guests from our AP Lang class here who are going to read to you tonight as our guest speakers. Please give us a warm Tantasqua welcome to Mrs. St. Jean.
Lucas, thank you, Mr. Dobrowski. So I'm going to introduce some of my AP students, and they have written argument essays that they are passionate about and that they are going to read tonight. They're not used to public speaking, nor am I. Not to this kind of crowd anyway. And so, just appreciate their passion and what they're going to tell you, okay? So my name is Holly St. Jean. I've been gainfully and happily employed as an English teacher for 28 years now. 18 of those years here in this wonder-filled school that is Tantasqua Regional. And I sincerely mean that. This place, my colleagues, the faculty, the staff, the administration, and especially the students. They keep me feeling young, I'm not, as I live vicariously through them and all of their indefatigable energy and enthusiasm. They fill me with wonder every day, and that is a very good thing. While here, I've enjoyed teaching a variety of interesting courses and electives at all grade levels. I've had an opportunity to teach AP English Language and Composition for many years, 6 of which that the district has actually allowed me to go to some pretty exotic AP scoring sites like Kentucky and Missouri and Florida. This experience as a reader one of the hundreds responsible for scoring AP exam essays, has been invaluable to my teaching. This experience has made me aware of two things. Thing one, and please, I'm not bragging, I don't mean to, but Tantasqua students, what I learned there is that our students can write. They really can, which makes me very happy. And thing two, I also realized just how fortunate I am to be here in our Tantasqua community, in which most children, definitely these children, your children, are cared for and valued and raised to be compassionate individuals and inquisitive thinkers. Kind of like Einstein, I guess. So parents and guardians, although this banquet seems to be all about them, it's really not. It's also meant to honor you. And good job. Well done. Thank you. Tonight, I am proud to introduce four AP students, Olivia George, Caitlin Schoeneck, Maggie Noonan, and Sophia Villapiano. These students will read from papers that they've written on timely, contemporary issues. Each young woman chose her topic, completed research, and then crafted her own constructive argument in her own distinct voice. In just a moment, each will introduce herself and her topic. But before this happens, please allow me to explain that these young women, as I said before, are very passionate about their topics, as were all of their peers that had the same assignment. This assignment was to be, pick a topic, a timely issue, and discuss it. And so please know that Tantasqua students are concerned. Sometimes we don't think so, sometimes we think they're a little goofy, and they are. But they are very concerned with what's going on in the world today. So please know that. And Tantasqua students are eager to engage in the world and to strive to make it better. Other voices you will not hear tonight are of those who consider the weighty issues of melting ice caps, plastics in our ocean, daylight savings time, opioid addiction, the Electoral College, gun control, gun violence, college debt, educational reform, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, life in the age of technology, etc. And those are some pretty weighty things that we have to deal with these days. What a world. However, your children, our students, these young women, are compassionate individuals and inquisitive thinkers. And forgive me for this cliche, but I'll throw it out there anyway. They are our future. And for one, I'm very glad. Now, Miss Olivia George.
Hello everyone. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity for me to present an interview. I'm Olivia George, and I'm reading about deforestation. As global warming increasingly becomes a more serious and scary reality, it has become the responsibility of my peers and myself to speak up about such topics that disrupt the false comfort society nurtures today. I use the Climate Institute, Live Science, World Life Fund, and National Geographic to support my argument on deforestation. Deforestation is a blight on our planet and all who inhabit it. Greed drives many high-powered business owners and politicians to ignore the devastating impact that deforestation has on the earth. Political leaders are getting rid of many protections placed on forests for profit. For example, President Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil has already stated his intentions to exploit the natural resources and land of the Amazon rainforest. In addition, he plans on dissolving regulations that protect indigenous people and their land. He is promoting the deforestation of the Amazon to clear land for farming, mining, drilling, and livestock grazing areas. Bolsonaro happily accepts short-term influxes of revenue from the natural resources in forests and is not concerned with the long-term impacts of such oversights that will only lead to the instability of the Earth's climate and the loss of millions of innocent animals. Deforestation is one of the biggest contributors to global warming. Trees can store approximately 300 billion tons of carbon dioxide, the most abundant greenhouse gas. When trees are cut down to make space, carbon dioxide is released. And this alone has caused about 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide to be emitted into the atmosphere every year. Forests are often called carbon sinks because they absorb carbon dioxide that would otherwise end up contributing to the warming of the atmosphere. We know that the atmosphere is warming, but the extent to which forests buffer the true amounts of carbon being released by our cars, houses, and factories is still somewhat hidden from consumers. The Amazon alone contains 90 to 140 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide. Though that number may soon decrease due to the loss of forests. Not to mention the millions of tons of oxygen released by this forest that sustains millions of organisms. Decreasing tree populations can also impact the water vapor concentration in the atmosphere by decreasing global vapor flows by 4%. This seemingly small decrease in concentration can lead to the imbalance of climates, which results in more extreme weather patterns, some of which we are already experiencing today. The blatant destruction of forests is leading to serious problems in the atmosphere and is now affecting our local climates. This impact will only get worse unless changes are made. In particular, we need to stop cutting down trees in order to stop the destruction of our planet. Not only are trees cut down in the Amazon rainforest, but they are also burned in order to fertilize the otherwise nutrient-poor soil. Farmers cut down a section of the forest, sift the ashes of trees into the soil, and cultivate it for crops such as soy. They use that plot of land for the next 2 years until all of its nutrients are used up and the soil is infertile again. This process forces the farmers to move on to new sections of the forest where trees must be cut down, providing new plots of land to be used for agriculture. In my opinion, the Amazon rainforest and other vital forests shouldn't be destroyed only to become a source of disposable land for farming. In addition, rainforests are home to 50% of the Earth's plants and animals. 10% of the world's species are contained within the Amazon rainforest alone. Taking into consideration that rainforests only make up 2% of the Earth's surface area, these statistics are both shocking and amazing. Plant and animal populations are losing their habitats due to deforestation, and the loss of vital resources is causing some species to become endangered. Only 400 Sumatran tigers remain in Indonesia following the deforestation of over half of the Sumatran rainforest. Similarly, only 80,000 orangutans remain in Indonesia and Malaysia as a result of deforestation. These species play vital roles in the food web by sustaining other populations in forests. Taking away the habitats of animals will decrease Earth's biodiversity, which is responsible for stabilizing many of the Earth's ecosystems. Diseases and other infections can arise from the decreased number of organisms in the environment. There are so many issues that arise when animals aren't able to function in their natural environment. It is not worth the risk to change the structure of our planet's biosphere. Some people say that the jobs created by deforestation are needed to keep the global economy running. Over 13.2 million people are employed by the lumber industry, including many who are cutting down unrecorded and unprotected sections of forests. Even if this industry continues to contribute by giving people jobs, I think much regulation is needed in order to prevent the negative impacts associated with cutting down trees. This industry produces over $600 billion every year. Yet I believe that the severe impacts that deforestation has on animal populations in the atmosphere are not worth any amount of money. Our planet is already suffering the consequences of the short-sightedness and greed that drives many politicians and businessmen to line their pockets at the expense of our planet. This is unacceptable and needs to stop.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to present my view. I am Caitlin Shonak, and the title of my argument paper is Vaccination Save Lives. I chose to discuss this topic because I believe that vaccinations are a form of modern medicine that should be taken seriously to ensure the safety of the general public. The sources I use to support my argument are the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, the National Center for Biotechnology Information, and the New York Times. As of July 18, 2018, all 50 states and Washington, D.C. require all children to get vaccinations that combat 3 different infections. But why stop there? As residents of Massachusetts, my brother and I have received every vaccination in order to attend a public school. My parents made the right choice to have us immunized, and we benefited greatly. Neither my brother nor I have suffered from a dangerous virus. All parents should be required to vaccinate their children to reduce their risk of infection and to prevent diseases from spreading to others. Vaccines help to develop a child's immune system by imitating an infection. The immune system then attacks its imitation, creating antibodies called memory cells, which will then recognize and fight the infection in the future. The CDC recommends a vaccination schedule designed by a group of medical and public health experts called the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. This vaccine schedule highlights which vaccines should be administered at various ages in order to control disease. Parents should abide by this schedule to keep their children safe. Contrary to popular belief, a child getting multiple vaccines within a few years will not overload the immune system. Vaccines contain significantly fewer antigens than the amount of antigens a child encounters daily. Vaccinations are necessary in order for a child to have a safe, healthy, and happy childhood. However, there are many fears associated with vaccinations that are due to the lack of education on the subject. Currently, the United States has the safest vaccine supply in history. All new vaccines are tested with 3 phases of clinical trials for safety and effectiveness before they are made available to the public. Once the vaccination is made available to the public, the Food and Drug Administration and CDC monitor regularly for side effects. This ensures the safety of any person receiving a vaccination throughout the years. Measles is an infection that has recently reappeared in countries around the world. Foreign visitors to the U.S. who have not been vaccinated can bring the disease into our country. It is important to be vaccinated for measles and other infections in case of exposure when traveling domestically and internationally. There is no telling when the measles virus may have already been introduced, so vaccinations are essential for keeping children safe. Measles is a highly contagious disease. At least 92% of the population must be vaccinated in order to protect others. This means that enough people need to be vaccinated to create a herd immunity, which will keep a measles epidemic from taking place in the United States and or leading to a pandemic worldwide. By refusing to vaccinate their children, parents are putting the lives of others at risk. Babies are not allowed to get certain vaccinations until they are 2 years old. If an unvaccinated child contracts a disease and is around a newborn baby, there is a very high chance that the baby will also get the disease. This is life-threatening to a baby because their immune systems are fragile. Along with babies, an unvaccinated child can pass on a disease to an adult or a child with a weak immune system or serious medical conditions. This risk could be life-threatening. For example, recently, a cruise ship containing many Scientologists was quarantined by the Caribbean nation of St. Lucia. Aboard the ship, there was a confirmed case of measles, and many of the passengers on board had never received a measles vaccination, making every one of them at risk for passing on the disease to the people of St. Lucia. Similarly, there was a woman in Fullerton, California, who endangered dozens of people at a movie theater when she was supposed to be under quarantine with measles. People who are unvaccinated put multiple other people at risk, and this is simply wrong. The counter-argument is, the portion of the population who choose not to vaccinate their children or themselves have reasoning behind their decision not to vaccinate. One of the most common reasons is based on religious practices. One reason is that the ingredient of gelatin derived for the creation of certain vaccines is from pigs. This gelatin is meant to protect live vaccinations from effects of temperature. This gelatin is hydrolyzed or broken down so much that the original source it is derived from is impossible to identify. Another religious objection lies in the belief that vaccinations are made with human fetal tissue. This was an ingredient in vaccinations decades ago, however, is no longer used today. These 2 factors are against some religious values and therefore turn many people away from the practice of immunization. There are also personal beliefs that exist that repel people from vaccinations. Some parents believe that natural immunity is healthier than immunity that can be acquired from vaccinations. Parents often do not see the diseases that have vaccinations as life-threatening or dangerous, so they do not want to put extra chemicals in their child's body if it's not necessary. In addition, there also exists the belief that the diseases that are vaccinated against are not prevalent in society today, so there's a minimal risk of contracting the disease. Lastly, there are many fears that revolve around vaccinations. Many parents believe that multiple vaccinations in a child's body will overload their immune system, causing more negative effects than positive, resulting in parents turning away from vaccinating their children. Those who refuse to vaccinate themselves or their children are putting themselves and other people in their community at risk. The necessity for vaccinations needs to be reinforced to people everywhere. However, I believe that enforcement should not be derived from regulations and laws, but through more education. Education must be available to those who are living in the dark and in fear about vaccinations. More people need to share their experience of the negative effects of not getting a vaccination in order for others to see that these diseases are dangerous and life-threatening, and therefore require protection. Forcing people to be pro-vaccination will never be effective and will result in division in the United States. But if we can squash ignorance with facts and testimony based on real events, those who do not vaccinate may change their views and beliefs.
And thank you for this opportunity to present my opinion. I am Maggie Noonan, and the title of my argument paper is Social Media's Impact on Mental Health. I chose this topic because social media has become a staple of many teenagers' lives, and it is important to know the negative and positive impact these networks have on the teenage mind. My sources are the Pew Research Center and SciComm.net. When you wake up in the morning, what is one of the first things you do? Unlock your phone, open Snapchat, and reply to all of your streaks. Next, perhaps, you go on Instagram and scroll through dozens of photos that have been posted since the last time you refreshed your feed. Teenagers are obsessed with their social status and their profiles on various social media platforms. As a teenager, I admit that I do spend a lot of my free time on my phone, scrolling through social media, looking at pictures and videos of everyone else's lives. In the past 10 years, social media has become more and more popular. Social media does have positives, and it is a way for people to communicate with each other and keep in touch. However, millions of teenagers' lives have been taken over by the social media wave. Our generation cares so much about how they look online that we have forgotten how to take care of ourselves. Social media has caused many teenagers to develop mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and self-doubt. According to the Pew Research Center, on average, teenagers aged 13 to 17 spend 9 hours using technology and communicating on social media. Teenagers spend more time on their phones than they do in school every day. In the early 2000s, social media websites such as MySpace and Facebook were created, and millions of people became glued to their screens constantly on these websites. In under 10 years, the internet has changed tremendously. In 2010, Instagram was created. Today, it is one of the most popular apps used by people all over the world. In 2018, 3 online platforms other than Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat, are used by sizable majorities of this age group. As the number of teens using social media apps increase, so does the number of teens affected by mental health disorders, including anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. According to SciComm, those who had spent more time on social media had 2.2 times the risk of reporting eating and body image concerns, compared to their peers who spent less time on social media. These participants who spent the most time on social media had 2.6 times the risk. Teenagers are using social media as a way to compare themselves to their friends, their peers, and the other millions of users from all over the world. After constantly worrying about the number of likes their photos receive, how many Snapchat streaks they have, and comparing their profiles to others, teenagers are often left feeling insecure and unworthy, leading to conditions such as anxiety and depression. Although studies prove that social media can cause mental health issues, many teenagers think that social media is a positive and good part of their lives. About 68% of teens responding to the study said that Social media makes them feel like they have people that will support them during tough times. Teenagers may see social media as a positive environment because it gives them a way to stay in tune and stay connected to the rest of the world. Teenagers may think social media is a positive thing because it is a way for them to support their friends and show happy and fun parts of their lives. Social media apps are a great way to keep in touch with friends and post positive things, but one negative comment or rude remark made by somebody on social media posts leaves people feeling upset and very hurt. Social media is consuming teenagers' lives. Every time they open up their Snapchat and answer all of their friends, they are becoming more and more addicted. At the end of the day, social media does have a few pros. It allows people to communicate and keep in touch, and it allows people to share important parts of their lives with their followers. But social media can cause people to feel insecure and can even cause some people to turn to cyberbullying. Mental health disorders in teenagers have increased greatly in the past 10 years as social media apps have become accessible in the touch of a button. It is time to stop letting social media consume the teenage mind. Teenagers need to learn that they are more than the amount of likes their photos receive, they are more than their 50 Snapchat streaks, and they shouldn't spend their lives staring at a screen. We need to start using social media platforms as positive, safe environments and prevent them from allowing bullying to occur. It is time to decrease the use of social media and increase the number of teenagers who are confident and happy in their own skin.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to present my view on creativity. I'm Sophia Bucano, and the title of my argument paper is Creativity in Crisis. I chose this topic because creativity is a really important part of my life and in many others' lives as well, and we should embrace creativity rather than punish it. My sources are the New York Times, ideasvalue.com, and Harvard Business Review. Creativity, by definition, is the use of the imagination or original ideas, especially in the production of an artistic work. Creativity is also the most essential skill someone possesses in life. I often hear people say they're not creative just because they can't draw. But creativity isn't just about art. Creativity is about displaying uniqueness in any type of activity. If we were to lose creativity, we'd be suffering from a tremendous loss of character. Some people believe we're at the height of our creativity levels in society. I believe that even though there are a few people who have the confidence to show their creativity in public, most of society is too afraid, stubborn, and influenced by the social status quo to truly show their creativity. I always hear my parents say I wish I could be a kid again. I mean, who doesn't? Being a kid is easy. You're carefree and almost everything is done for you. Your only priority in life is having fun, which means being creative. Students have shown that once we start to age, our creativity tends to decline. In a New York Times article, Alison Gopnik and Tom Griffiths asked the question, what happens to creativity as we age? They come up with a theory of exploration versus exploitation. After conducting an experiment, Gopnik and Griffiths were able to find that children were more likely to explore more creative ways of completing a task, whereas adults took the most simple and least creative path to solving that same problem. Their explanation for this phenomenon is that when we face a new problem, we adults usually exploit the knowledge about the world we have acquired so far. We try to quickly find a pretty good solution that is close to the solutions we already have. On the other hand, exploration, trying something new, may lead us to the more unusual idea, a less obvious solution, a new piece of knowledge. But it may also mean that we waste time considering crazy possibilities that will never work, something both preschoolers and teenagers have been known to do. Basically, as we grow up, they begin to think they know it all, that there's no need to do something differently if the easy way works. Adults often tend to take the easiest approach to a problem because they know it'll be the most successful. The easy way isn't always the most creative, but the easy way is the least stressful and most reliable. This type of common thinking is exactly why we're suffering from a creativity loss. Another explanation for society's creativity loss is something I can definitely relate to: standardized testing. There's one specific way to do an equation, and there's one specific way to set up your paper. This list goes on and on. From the minute we first begin to read, our brains have been wired to think a certain way, and any other approach wasn't as efficient or just wasn't right. Everything we've ever been taught was setting us up to pass a test. And over time, our creativity slowly disappears with the constant butchering of the thought of trying things differently. Professor K.H. Kim addresses the growing creativity crisis in an article. Kim says because of the incentives or sanctions on schools and teachers based on students' test scores, schools have turned to lecturing to teach all tested material and spent time teaching specific test-taking skills. Students memorize information without opportunities for application. This approach stifles natural curiosities and the joy of learning and exploring topics that might lead to their passions. I can relate to Professor Kim's explanation because I feel like this in some of my classes. I don't feel as though I'm learning, sometimes I'm just doing work to keep up a good grade. I used to love learning new things, but after the years preparing and taking standardized tests, I'm more concerned with passing all these tests than actually obtaining the information to use later in life. In theory, standardized tests are a way for different schools and states to measure and compare individual students' intelligence against another. And I understand the test's importance for improving a school's curriculum and students. But in my opinion, this form of comparison has begun to drain the creativity and excitement for learning out of all of us. My brain has been more formatted and less creative throughout school. No wonder everyone's so excited to make posters and creative projects during class, because it's so rare we actually get to be creative with the way we learn. Creativity. Some people seem to have it flowing through their veins, and others can barely draw a stick figure, but that's not what creativity is. Creativity is the foundation of our childhood. Our imaginary friends, our little families, our superhero battles, and exploring the unknown forest, which is really just grandma's garden. Creativity is also the foundation of our personalities. Creativity is supposed to be in every aspect of our lives, so why are we letting that excitement disappear? Some people claim we are at the peak of creativity as a society, but I believe that even though there are the few people who make up an idea, 90% of everyone else just copies the idea. Speaking as one of the many students who values the strong arts program offered here at Tantasqua, being able to release the creativity we keep bottled up in our classes is a relief from the stresses that come with each day. The creativity loss crisis we're facing in our society is due to the fact that we've forgotten how important and essential creativity is to our lives.